I'm a big sports fan, and I'm here to tell you, they got this shit figured out for a long time. A ball player that plays at a what? High school basketball team. He started a high school team, right? Where's he gonna go? Is he gonna stop right there? He had the ability to go on to his basketball team, or she had the ability to play for a volleyball team, and then they might choose to stay local at the university, or they might go elsewhere based on what they did on their high school level. If they're really good at that same order, they could go where? Into the pros who are looking at them. So they start from their local and they expand as their game gets recognized. So it is a kind of a pecking order that goes on, but they don't start out in the world and then reduce themselves coming back to their high school team. That's something to look at. Same thing with artists. Oh, are there too many artists out there? I could go out and get the Carmelo Anthony jersey with the New York Knicks 7 and wear it. That doesn't mean I'm Carmelo Anthony. You can go to your Guitar Center and buy the best, Sammy Hagar, whatever, guitar, whatever, and that doesn't make you them. That doesn't make you them. So, but you can start. And this is what the internet has offered. It has become the training ground. It's become the minor leagues. It's become the high school for musicians to get their foot in the door. 25 years ago, the answer was, oh, you want to be a rock star? No, you'll never be a rock star. Keep your ass in Santa Barbara forever and just become a tribute band or something. Now you can impede on that structure by saying we're going to build our own structure. Screw them. It's a big difference. So it's the way you look at this. It's not what is out there. It's the way you look at what's been set upon, in front of us.
Do you think it creates a local that's not geographic because you can find like-minded people? Like, does local have to be geographic, or could it be, starting with a few people?
Local's geographic when it comes down to the physical. It's not geographic when it comes down to the virtual. So the thing about it, somebody could date somebody in the Ukraine online. If you want to get married online, you can do that too, but that's just not advisable.
I had a Swedish girlfriend for a while, and that was just too far.
In your dreams or what?
No, that really happened.
Because dreams count too, to some people, but that's your own individual space. How you actually enhance this and make this thing that everybody goes, I want to become a bigger artist. Well, you got to start from somewhere. And I think that the old system has sold independent artists this game. They still control the game of every area that you happen to turn on. Free TV, there's no such thing as free TV because you get your cable bill cut, it's not a free phone. But one thing that is free is free airwaves. You can pick that up out of nowhere. You can pick it up, Wolfman Jack, XERB back in the day, they used to pick it up on bed springs from the Mexican towers that they had down there, transmitters. They used to, seriously, they, roll the mattress back and hear the radio station on this powerful watt signal on the bed springs. Because the specifications here, or the requirements, okay, you can't have but this much power. So these situations went across the border where they said, oh, we'll give you this much power. And these stations, that's why Wolfman Jack was heard across 3/4 of the United States, because he was on a powerful signal that went beyond the restrictions of the United States signals. And they hated him. So, we got to know our history in order to know what you want to do in the present and where you want to take it in the future. And a lot of the future of music is embedded in the knowledge of our history that a lot of people throw to the side and say, oh, that's old and it doesn't matter. We're right at the same time right now, Ian, as where we could make parallel comparisons and arguments to 1953.
Yeah, what is the best analog? Where are we restarting again right now?
Well, internet radio stations are similar to like when rock and roll stations started off in the 50s, where it wasn't so much restrictions and people just went and you could go up to a radio station like, oh man, play this. Oh yeah. So the DJs control the playlist. It's metastasized over to like hundreds and thousands of DJs, but it still could be managed because you have hundreds and thousands, millions of people listening. So hundreds and thousands of people DJing and stations aren't too much. A lot of times people say, oh man, it's saturated. You ain't counting. So the amount of people that wear, sneakers or gym shoes, how many people wear sneakers? How many people are actually wearing a LeBron James sneaker? Does it mean that they're saturating the NBA? No.
Well, just because a station exists doesn't mean anybody's listening to it.
Well, that means you got to worry about the one. Because if a station got 5 people, don't start saying what you ain't got. Start counting what you do and start satisfying those 5 until they always come back and they become your biggest campaigners. So you can't sleep on the one. If you got one fan, turn that N into an M because that fan is almost your your family. And go into the dynamic or try to figure out why does that person like what you do. Then 1 goes into 2. I tell people all the time, the digital dollar is very important because when we aggregate, we aggregate and we cut a percentage to somebody, but we don't aggregate and we don't figure out your songwriting royalties out how it should be done. Although we have a system that works for us that we advise, like this would actually clear you of any problems of not paying somebody who produced that beat and you just don't know how to pay them. Follow our method because this will be clean. Because I tell people very quickly, you can't split $1, how are you going to split $10,000? That's where arguments, fights, and lawyers and accountants all come in the game. You end up paying them at the end of the day. Learn how to split $1. Learn how to treat one person before you think that you got to handle 100 or 1,000 or 10,000 or 100,000. Right now we're seeing the business go from actual sales into YouTube views. And I'm like saying that can't carry a lot of water because sometimes a little kid that, plays in a tub and passes gas might get 16 million views. I mean, that ain't artistry. I mean, funny, but you know what I'm saying? So you have to understand who you are, what are you doing, and who are you doing it for. And don't get disappointed at the numbers because this is what discourages people once you start getting in the number game. It's like, wow, we only got 115 people. You ain't taking care of them. It's like, want to move on to another house. You ain't taking care of the house you got. So this is going to be a bigger mess when you get there. So take care of what you got and look at it very carefully.
It's interesting you say that there's a.
I try to be interested sometimes.
No, I'm thinking about it with as a nerd and an entrepreneur.
I never figured that.
That's kind of the only way I know. But there's a Harvard dude who likes to say, be patient for growth and impatient for profit. And I think you just said the same thing as him as it relates to music.
I never saw a U-Haul, behind a hearse.
That's right.
Well, I look, the last panel said the key is also listening a lot. That's very key. That's very key. I'm a byproduct of a million conversations. I like to run my mouth, but I don't like to run my mouth as much as I like to listen. And sometimes when I listen too much, somebody might look at me like I'm being aloof. I'm not. I like to listen. I'll sit and listen to my mother and father-in-law. I have my mother and father. I learn from my kids. I learn a lot from my wife. It's a thrill being, not the smartest person in the household. So I can actually be able to just listen. And if you're in this business, listening and watching, there's a wealth of information out there if you really dig it. A lot of people say they like things or they love things, but really can't describe what they love or what they like. So you got to kind of re-examine that. Because I tell people, I said, at least become an expert at what you say that you love, or just saying, I just want the money. And I said, if you just want the money, then you should go on to New York to Wall Street. That's where it's all at. Or go to Silicon Valley, but then you just can't be looking for money and just not knowing how that works. So if you want to get in the music business because you want to make money, yo, you're in the country right now. Anybody that pays you for anything, you better say, "Yeah, thanks a lot." And if you're able to do your music at the same time and grow that, that's going to give you a picture whether you can quit that job where somebody's paying you some money as opposed to you making your own. So that's real talk.
Tell us, I'm curious to ask you another history question and maybe bring it back to the present day. What made hip hop so exciting in the 80s and early 90s? And is there something out there today that you think has that kind of that same newness and excitement?
It's new and exciting right to this moment right now. But I don't think we don't have people who really want to examine and they're happy just being scientists of it and being fans of it. We need a whole bunch of service people around the art. And there's hundreds and thousands of artists that are out there doing it from all over the world. I enjoy doing services like rapstation.com as an internet radio station where I enjoy playing a new artist as well as an artist who's established, as well as an artist who's known for one record or two records hitting the mainstream, but it's still been recording ever since that people don't know. So I'm always in the areas of exposing the genre. But I think one of the things that happened in the 70s and the 80s, it came out of left field because it didn't use any of the techniques that define music in this previous 25 years. The fact that out of a disenfranchised area where they emphasized the importance of music programs in the New York City area, out of those ashes like a phoenix rose this thing of taking those records that were laying around and putting on turntables and using what the Jamaicans had done with these systems and making something out of nothing. Well, the same argument could be for the blues when a person took a chord and put it on the side of a house and started playing a house. Something out of nothing. And black folk were very, very engaging and very ingenious, especially at that time, of making something out of nothing. All the way up, but way before President Obama, we were always known as a people who had lesser than. And we might have been broke, but we weren't broken. And the whole thing of trying to knock on the door of accept us as equals, the compensation of what we do to keep us buoyant happened to come in the music, which happened to be our expression because we weren't able to express ourselves on what we thought, like, I don't like slavery, or you stop whipping me. You can say that. So it came out in other forms. It came out in the expression of what we had inside us in coda. And so therefore, that's why the music has always seemed to mean so much up to a certain point, up to the late 1980s, where all of a sudden, oh, we seem to get it. This is what it is. And it just took another path, which would take too long for me to talk because I'm starting to get tired of hearing my damn self.